trip, and it was a frog. Normally we tie a flat-faced frog and a diver head frog, but this frog that was fishing well had a rounded head with a little indentation running down the back. I don't know if that helps the pattern, but it was fishing well, so we're gonna try to recreate it. Another thing that made the frog unique was that the legs were a little bit more thought out than just pieces of hackle. So we'll try to recreate the legs. I'm thinking a combo material, and then we'll try to recreate the body. Let's get started. So the legs I did on the previous pattern were bucktail legs, knotted bucktail legs, but for this one I'm gonna do a blend of synthetic hair right here, and then I'm going to also do some rubber, so it'll be rubber synthetic legs. So we got a nice little bunch of hair here. I'm gonna blend up the colors a bit, and then we'll chop it up. It's pretty messy right now, but that looks okay. And then we're going to add some rubber. I had some green rubber, but I think we can do a couple of strips of brown. Let's do some brown, and then we can do some purple just to break up the color profile, and then we can have some fun with it as well. So we'll double these up, which will be more than enough for the legs. How are we looking? And then we'll kind of measure out the synthetic hair and the rubber. We'll have it along with the rubber. And then we will, I'm not sure if I want to blend the rubber into the leg or keep the rubber outside. Let's blend it in. So we'll try to place the rubber in the middle of the leg. The leg has a taper to it, which is good. We'll work on that. And then it's got some meat on the thigh, which is also good. We have to knot this. So I'm rolling the synthetic hair. Then I'm gonna have to loop it. Swoop it. And then attempt to pull it through. Might need a tool for this. See if it pulls through. Here goes the rubber. Not all the rubber. No, that's a mess. We're gonna restart. We're going to restart with no rubber. I don't think we can do it. So we'll just do the synthetic hair. I think I might have cut it too short. We'll loop it. Oh yeah, that loops a little bit better. We'll swoop it. And then pull it through. We got some of it through, some is not through. But that's enough for me. I'm gonna try to knot it as tight as I can. This will be our thigh portion, and then this will be the foot portion. We'll chop off that, and it'll be like so. You might want to add a drop of super glue to that knot. Otherwise, hair will be kind of pulling out, which is okay. But I'm thinking about that's the length, so we have quite a bit of waste, but I don't think I could have knotted it otherwise. So let's get another leg. This hair is a mess. Need a comb. I think that's enough material. Let's try to, oh, it'd be cool if the foot was like the chartreuse bit, but our other one is blended, so I guess we'll have to blend this one too. There we go. Give it a knot. Pull it through. Tighten it up. Tight as you can. Remove the excess. I think this will be the foot end here, so we'll chop that off. You might work on that foot end later, but yeah, something like this. You round it out a bit. All right. Cool, got our legs. Now we'll do some thread. What thread do I have going? Got a UTC. I want a nice thick thread, but not too thin, but strong. We're gonna do this deer hair, so thin but strong is the way to go. A Danville 100 isn't perfect, but in terms of like a regular thread, it'll do. A colored would be nice, but I'm just not seeing it right now, so we'll go with white. And we'll pull that through our bobbin. Let's get it going here. We might need a spacer for the legs. So we might need a spacer. What could the spacer be? I think it has to be more hair. So we'll take the existing hair, we'll tie it in, we'll pinch wrap it. Oh, it's slipping. Try to pinch wrap it. Sitting nice and low on that bend, which is good. It's where I want it. There it is. That's our spacer. Then we'll go leg, big old leg. Try to tie as many of the hairs in as I can. Big old leg. And then go up on that pinch. You can chop that off. And do the other big old leg. Which somehow looks better than the first big old leg. Might be thicker. Measure that out. Tie it in. The bucktail is much easier to cast. The synthetic hair does shed water, but I find that it's a little bit heavier. So be warned. If you're using the synthetic, the natural's always the best. All right, legs are in. Let's bring up the spacer, fold it through. Tight, tight, tight. Advance your thread. Chop it off. Clean everything up. You'll be cleaning up for a while. Yeah, this right leg is heavier than the other one. We could fix that later, but right now, let's get to time. I'm put a drop of glue on the spacer and then underneath, and that'll help lock everything in. Nice. You could start your first clump of hair on the spacer. It'll be tricky. You'd have to stack it, but it can be done. So let's give it a try. Do some green. Nice. Clump of green. Clean it up a bit. I'm not really worried about the tips. This is just going to be a monstrosity of a fly. But I am going to just situate it nicely there. Tight, tight, tight. And then roll it over. You're going to have to be careful because there's buildup from the synthetic hair. So when you're trimming, the thread is lying flatter on the shank of the hook, but it's going to be built up here. So you could accidentally cut it. You have to be aware of that. Hopefully it doesn't all happen. Give it a chop. And let's clean up the hair. Brush it out. Rotation. Loose wrap. One more loose wrap. Tight, 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 tight. Advance your thread. Advance your thread. Now, this is interesting. So, some people argue you have to put a thread base down before you add more hair. Some people just tie the hair right to the shank. I've done both. I don't know if it matters, but if you're a nervous Nelly, then I would put a base of thread. And you don't have to do it all the way. You can just do partial, the first step base, second step base, something like that. But we'll do a little base of thread before we tie in our next clump of hair. We'll do one more. We'll pick a brighter color for the point color. This clump will be spun in. So we'll clean that up. Brush that out. We'll spin this clump in. So two loose and then let it spin. Nice and tight. Tight, tight, tight. You can fold out a little landing area with your finger. But a point color would be nice. So let's pick one out. Maybe red. Red's always good. We'll do a little bit of red. And we'll brush that out. Set it down. Before I tighten it up, I'm just spreading it out because I want it to go down the sides and hopefully kind of connect with the belly. So I'm just spreading that out. And then I'm not gonna go tight yet, because we're gonna fill it with something, perhaps, maybe this darker, kind of sage, not sage, but you can go with this darker color. Clean it up. Clean it up a bit more. A little bit darker color in there. And I'm spreading that out. I'm not spreading it as thin as the red. And then I'm gonna come back with a little dot of green. So we'll just place that in. Now you have to crank this real tight. Real tight. If you do not crank this real tight, when you trim it, you're gonna cut the thread. So crank her real tight. On the bottom, starting to spin on me. I'll do one more tight wrap. On the bottom, we'll do kind of the opposite. We're not going to put as much in. We'll do the dark, and then we'll do a red dot on the bottom. Do the dark there, plus a little bit of red. Clean that up. Place it, and tight. All right, that's good. Advance, if you think you're tight enough, you can advance. My advance was a little messy. We still have a thread base on the shank of the metal, which is nice, but then you have to pack. Got to pack. I think you could get like 2 more sections and then a little bit for the head. That'll be plenty. Right now, you could do the legs. Since we already cut that rubber for the first attempt at legs, I'm going to use it, and I'm just going to put a drop of glue at the base of this hair, and then this will help with the structural integrity. Then I'm going to place the legs in there. It's definitely not the textbook way to do it, but I'm also not a textbook tire. So let's get a little thread wrap down again. Thread base rather. We'll let those legs set. And then we'll come back with another clump of green. Regardless of how much time and effort you put in those rubber legs, they will always be the first thing that you lose. Just keep that in mind. So put on our base of green, which was not much. Let's go thicker with our red. I think that'll be fun. Go thicker with our red. And then we'll do our darker green, which is a nice color right there. Then I'll come back with a spot of the light green on top. And then we have to cinch it down nice and tight. Wrap and cinch. That should be good. Let's clear a little landing zone for the belly. For the belly, we did dark and red. Dark and red for the belly. Clean it up, set it in, light wrap, pinch of red. Clean up the red. Let's distribute the, ooh, almost messed that up. Got lazy. Distribute the green, place the red, thread tension, slow wrap, thread tension, preen it back, advance your thread, couple wraps, pack the hair. Holy mackerel, pack it well. Oh yeah, we still have a lot of room. Holy smokers. A little drop of super glue in there would be good. But we're not gonna. Let's do a couple more wraps for a thread base before we add the next section of hair. That looks good. And then we'll do our green. Not so much. First section we spin, clean it up, set it in, 2 loose wraps, and then spin it up. That looks good. Clear the first area. We did big red, bigger clump of red. I hope we can get close to the eye. Big red. Distribute that. And then some dark. And then some light. A little bit of light. A little bit of light green. Okay, hold everything in place, give it a pull. Tight, tight, tight. Tight as you can make it. If you break your thread, you're doing it right. Clear a little zone. We'll do big green, little red. Big green, little red. Big green, little red. No, little red. What are you doing, little red? Big green, little red. Clean it up. Drop it in. I'm gonna rotate. Tight, 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 tight. We're a little bit off there. Tight, 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 tight. Find the hook eye. We're gonna advance. Slow, slow, slow. Tight, 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 and then back it up. Yep, we still need more. We still need more. The legs didn't get spaced quite as much as I would like them to. So let's do dark. Let's spin a little bit of dark. No more red, I don't think. A little bit of dark. I'll spin that up. And yeah, maybe we pack that and just finish with the dark. Anything we put in there is going to get trimmed real close, so you're not going to see a lot of it. Okay. That's nice and clean. It'll be easy to trim that up. That's okay. So we'll create a little thread dam on the head there. Get our whipper and give it a finish. 2, 3. There'll be glue there. Not to worry. Tighten down your whip. Give it a trim. Let's get a fresh razor. Fresh razor. How we looking? Looking furry. So the goal here is to round out the head, keep as much mass on the body as possible, slight taper toward the legs, but then trim out like a trench along the back. I always start with the belly because it's quite straightforward. And I'll grab my legs. I'm just gonna push that razor along the bottom. We'll take it down more, but we're just trying to go for shape here. Then we'll brush that out. And our color scheme wasn't that cool because the light green and dark green blended together. We should have thrown like a yellow highlight in there to make everything stand out, but next time. The color's not bad, it'll fish, just doesn't look that cool. All right, we got our hair, bottom. Now we're gonna do the same thing with the head. I'm not gonna shape the front yet, but I'm gonna round it first. Just gonna push it back. I want a slight taper down. I'm gonna push it down a little bit. I'm not worried about a collar quite yet. A collar of hair toward the legs, that is. I'm just going for shape. Going for shape. Let's knock down the sides a bit there. We'll have to come back with the scissors, I think. Rotation. Knock down the sides and the belly. Let's come up to the face. I want the face wide. I want to keep the face wide. So I'm just cutting up. Yeah. That's actually not bad. So a nice wide body, big old legs. We'll trim it down a little bit. Let's do a little bit of scissor work around the head and the sides and the legs. A little scissor work here. This is not your dainty frog. You tie this one when you want that present. You want that big beefy, big old beefy pattern. This would be like middle of summer style. And dog day pattern. If they're gonna hit it, it's gonna be a big one. But nothing might hit it. Here's a chance nothing hits. All right. Looking good. Looking good, looking good. There's a lot of, okay, let's take down we need to work on our hook gap. That's not enough. So we're gonna have to take this down more, work on that hook gap. And then we'll work on the top. So slight bend to the razor, just push it along, push it along, push it along. There's that bump toward where that first patch of hair is tied in, so we have to be careful we don't cut the thread. Push it along. Oops, I'm feeling something there. Push it along, push it along. There. That hook gap will work. That definitely will work. Let's get it a little bit closer though. Yeah, that's good. Now, since we trimmed all of that out and there's so much mass up here, ideally we'd keep this, but the fly is gonna land upside down, which is not a bad thing if you want a fly that lands upside down. Some people do. You know, if you're fishing cover, sometimes you have a pattern that you want to land upside down. Your hookups are not gonna be very good though. And I have flies already I use for cover. So I want this landing right side up. So I have to take some of the mass out of the top without ruining the buoyancy. So I'm U-bending the razor, and I'm gonna just go right down the middle to take out some of that hair. Right down the old pipe. And now we have a little trench in the top of our pattern. We still have our mass on the sides. Plenty of buoyancy. We can clean it up a bit. But it really doesn't need a whole lot. Let's not trim out our legs. Let's get the other side just Just a bit. Just a bit. And kind of clean everything up here. That's not bad. I like to kind of brush everything out. Make sure there's no trapped hairs in there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. But that's what we're working with. Let's trim out the legs. Legs can stay nice and long. You could knot them if you wanted to. I am not. Nice and long. The leg piece. I'm going to see how this fishes before I do anything with the legs, but the right leg is significantly significantly thicker than the left leg. Theoretically, there's a way to like thin out the material, but I think you would have to be pretty sneaky. Does it need eyes? It doesn't, but I'm gonna add them because I want that durability. Where I place them though, I'm not quite sure. Actually, I don't think we're gonna do eyes. We are gonna do a little bit of glue. But we're gonna skip the eyes for now. And put a little bit of glue on my tooth picker. And then I'm gonna roll it, starting from that thread head. I'm gonna kind of roll it up, then roll the sides, and then roll the bottom. I'll do a little bit more. The action I want is kind of a, not necessarily a pop, but more of a bubble. Fishing it slow. Again, this is like a Dog Days August pattern. Fishing sucks. You still want to get out there, throw on one of these babies, and you might get surprised. At least that's my approach. Let's clean it up a little bit and review the work. Actually, let's check the time and then we'll review the work. But the profile's right. The profile is right. A little bit. Knock it down a little bit on that side. Ooh, we got dangerously close to that spacer, trimming out the trench. Dangerously close. like it. This definitely go in the box. Definitely going in the box. All right, let's read questions and review the work. Review the work. So we tied this hair frog today. We tried to do, the hair started slipping a little bit. I need to do better job on that. That means my wraps weren't tight enough. But what I'm pleased with is just the overall shape. You know, it's got that big wide body. If you had a hair popper, it would, it'd be half of that. To offset the buildup on the top, we took out some of the hair on the top, so the weight of the hook will most likely keep this thing landing hook point down. The question mark are the legs. I use synthetic. I usually do bucktail. The bucktail works really well, but I wanted to try the synthetic. It's nice and full, but I have a feeling it's going to be difficult to cast. It's going to hold more water, but shouldn't be impossible. We tied in a little spacer here, and we got real close to cutting it when we trimmed out that trench. Other than that, I think we're good to go. So, let's read the questions. How big of a catfish do I need to catch for a free shout out? You need to catch a 5-pound catfish. How big of a fish do I need to catch for that lure? You can have this lure. I'll give it to you. All I catch is bass turds. Me too, man. I love bass. That's about it. Happy to be back. So we'll be tying more in the future. If there's anything you want to tie or think would be fun, we can do it together. I chose this one because I had a lot of success with this type of pattern during my most recent fishing trip. I tried everything, divers, poppers, but it was this, fish slow, and I was getting fish coming out of like 20 feet. Fishing it over deep water, I was still getting topwater strikes. So, give it a try.